William Jacobson joins you now, who's a clinical professor of law and director of the Securities Law Clinic at Cornell Law School, and, of course, the man behind Legal Insurrection, which is a great daily read for me. Professor, it's good to have you back on the program.
Great. Thanks for having me back.
Tell me what is happening to Legal Insurrection's YouTube channel. Who's shutting you down?
Well, we were shut down by YouTube last Thursday night, and I had no prior warning. And I think we do live in very precarious times that we all rely on social media to communicate as if it's a public forum, but it's not. These are private companies, and they basically reserve the right to do whatever they want to do. So I'm looking at my website, and I see that one of the videos on the website isn't loading. There's something wrong with it. So I click on it, and I get this message that the account associated with this video has been removed by YouTube for multiple copyright claims. And then it took me about literally 1 second. I thought, wait a second, that's our account. Why were you removed? Because I didn't know whose video it was because it wasn't working. And I clicked over to our account at YouTube, and we've had it for, I think, almost 8 years. Over almost 300 videos, most of which were our own creations, and it's gone. I can't even log in. And I get a message that this account has been closed for multiple copyright claims. I had no idea what they were talking about. Nobody contacted us. Nobody's asserted anything. It took me almost a day to find out that there was an organization, a professor group called the Modern Language Association, and we had covered some anti-Israel activity there, and we had excerpted some audio of some of these professors talking. Yeah. And they asserted the claims against us. But the point here is that we think we can operate this way, whether it's Twitter or elsewhere, and then all of a sudden, one day you realize you've been shut down, and that was pretty frightening.
Well, here's the concern I have, Professor, because I try to mind my P's and Q's when it comes to copyright. But I'm also aware that there's a part of the copyright law that a lot of people don't know, called the fair use standard of the copyright law, which says you can actually go out and take copyright material, especially for scholarly purposes like yours or journalistic purposes like mine, and you can use it as long as you're not using a gigantic proportion. So if I want to take 30 seconds out of a movie, for example, to make a point about the politics of a movie or a TV show, I can do that, but I generally have to pair it with some political commentary of my own, which I think they call transformative. And it's never presumptively fair use, but it allows you to do that. And it sounds like what you did fit well within the fair use standard, didn't it?
Right. And even better for us, we don't even think it's copyrighted material. These were recordings that Modern Language had posted on YouTube, 2 hours of their members speaking for and against Israel. And we took literally little slices of it and worked it into our news reporting. So we don't even think it's copyrighted. They don't have a copyright in what somebody else does. It's certainly fair use, but there's a background here, and this is getting into your political thing,
yep.
That the people, the anti-Israel faculty, and unfortunately there are plenty of them, were furious that we were reporting about this. Because the one thing they hate more than anything is when you actually quote what they say, because the things they say are so outrageous and so crazy. When you actually have a recording of it and you put it out there, of course we didn't put it out there, Modern Language did, but we just excerpted it, they were furious. And I know that on Twitter, the main group supporting the anti-Israel movement complained to Modern Language. So there was a political background here. And YouTube, most people might know or might not know, you probably know if you use YouTube, they have what they call a 3-strike rule, that if you get 3 copyright claims against you, they reserve the right to shut down your whole account. Now, normally these would come in one at a time, and you would have a chance to defend yourself. And, of course, we can defend ourselves on these. But they dumped 3 on us at one time. Our account was down. So that's, questionable in my mind.
Yeah, because let me ask you, there's something in the law that's referred to as slapping, selective litigation against political participation. Now, this isn't litigation, but in a way it is. Is this the case that this group said, we don't like being quoted because we don't like people seeing what we actually say because they're shocked by what we say and they're outraged by what we say, so we're going to go out after Professor Jacobson and his YouTube, and we're going to shut the thing down so we can just turn them off. Is that, am I reading this right?
Well, I mean, that's an argument to be made. What we will find out what their motivations were, because if you file a false takedown notice, false copyright takedown notice, you are now exposed to potential liability. And I'm not going to say what we're going to do or not going to do, but it's something we're certainly looking at, because they have no copyright. It's like if I went to a concert and I took out my little recorder and I recorded a song. Just because I recorded it doesn't mean I own the song, okay? And that's essentially what modern language is saying, that because they recorded some people speaking at a meeting, they somehow have the copyright on it. But even if they did, we have fair use. What's really funny is modern language on their own website, and of course I've captured it, promotes and encourages their own members to rely on the fair use doctrine for their scholarly work when they're quoting other people. So, I think, to me at least, the bigger point here is how at risk we are. Now, I don't know what YouTube's motivations were. It may have been that they were just like the mind-numbed robot where 3 claims come in and they shut you out. I got to believe, we have a pretty prominent website. I got to believe if we were a prominent liberal website, somehow I don't think we would have been shut down. I can't prove it, but that's just my gut. All the cases you hear about people being kicked off of Twitter, shut down at YouTube, they always seem to be conservative. Why is that? And that's one of the things that I think people need to focus on.
See, and that's the concern I've got. I'm talking to Professor William Jacobson. I know him best from the legal insurrection, which you're still tracking on a daily basis, the IRS scandal, aren't you?
We have been, but I guess we'll see what happens. We're not doing it, though, daily anymore.
Okay, but it used to be a daily tracking place where I and a lot of other people could go and find out what was the latest development in the use by the Obama administration of the IRS to shut down people's speech. But you have a lot of commentary on other subjects as well, and I'm glad to see it. But it should be stunning for these people who are academics to say, we want to go out and shut down the ability of other people to be able to cover what we're saying. And the idea that you recorded somebody's comments and then want to assert a copyright protection on it when you don't in fact own it is even more outrageous. But finding out that all you have to do is push the button 3 times and your political critics have been shut down it ought to be outrageous to anybody who hears about it.
Yeah, it is, and it was very, very upsetting, to put it mildly, because we had 8 years of videos there, original recording, a lot of my speeches, which I always record. Unlike the leftists and the anti-Israel people, they don't want you to hear what they actually say. I do want you to hear what I say. I record it. I put it on YouTube. I'm not shy about that. I'm happy to defend what I've actually said. And in fact, I record all my appearances, or as many as I can, precisely because I don't want someone putting words in my mouth and saying I said something I didn't say.
Wow, that's good.
Just the opposite for these other people.
Well, keep up the fight, and know that we're in your corner, Professor, and I appreciate you taking a few minutes to describe it tonight.
Great. Thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you, sir. Professor William Jacobson from Legal Insurrection. Coming up, should a rock band get to use a name that's offensive to people? It's another copyright issue. It involves a band called The Slants, and you'll hear about it right here.